We are only 5 weeks through the 2025 NFL season, but it's already over for some teams. But that's okay, because here at Corbs NFL, we are welcoming you with open arms to draft content. And we are starting off very strong with a top 10 mock draft. Not a full one just yet. We need to keep our powder dry for later in the season. Lots of things are still to change, the order, the players, the works. But a top 10 should satisfy the fans of the most unfortunate teams, the one that need the draft content more than anyone. In this top 10, we've got the Ravens and the Chiefs picking, something I've never seen before. It might not stay that way by the end of the season, but it's a very fun exercise to pick for those teams so early on in the season. And obviously, there's not going to be any trades. It's too early for that. So some players might go a little bit earlier than quote unquote expected, even at this early stage. Myself and my co-host Nick Corbs will be collaborating on all of these top 10 picks. You'll get our opinion on what these teams should do, what we think they might do. And as always, make sure you subscribe for more draft content. It is starting now and it is not going to stop until a few weeks after the NFL draft. So if that's something that you enjoy, make sure you leave a like, leave a comment, let us know your thoughts. Who would you take where? What would you do if you're a certain team? And make sure you subscribe to not miss out on a single video. But Nick, let's start then. We've got the New York Jets, the only undefeated team in the NFL currently. Undefeated? Unbeaten. No, winless. That's what I'm
defeated team, you could say, Dom. Defeated
the only defeated. The only winless team in the NFL. Team. Exactly. The only unwinless team, winless team in the NFL is the New York Jets. What do you think they will do? Do you think they're going to go with a quarterback? Do you think they're going to stick with Justin Fields? How do you see the Jets situation playing out right now?
They have to go quarterback. And I know we'll discuss it in a second about what quarterback should go or if there's even value there. But fundamentally, if you have the number one overall pick, you need a franchise-changing pick. The Jets have been one of the most miserable teams in the 2020s, not making it playoffs a single time, winning a combined 25 games. They have been an absolute poverty franchise for as long as I've been a fan, for as long as I've been alive, and probably for most of our listeners and viewers as well. They need a quarterback to change this around. Do the issues go further than that? Almost definitely. But a blue chip quarterback prospect is what they need.
Yeah, and also I think we've got to also mention the fact that Aaron Glenn, the head coach, despite being a first-year head coach, is kind of on the hot seat. I don't think he really has the job security to not draft a quarterback. In the preseason, I thought, okay, the Jets won't be that good this year, but they'll be all right. They'll be plucky. They might win a few games here or there, and they might kick the quarterback can down the road. I don't really think that Aaron Glenn is in that position job security-wise. I think he could get the boot if the Jets don't turn it around this season, let alone don't turn it around next season. And to not draft a quarterback when you have the first overall pick and you don't have a secure job, that's pretty bold. So then let's look at the quarterbacks. Who would you take right now as your QB1 currently?
So there's a lot going up in the air, Dom. I think the quarterback stock market has never been so speculative. I've never seen some people completely abandoning their takes, putting all their draft capital behind a certain name. But I think one thing that you want to bet on, because currently there's about 7 or 8 quarterbacks that you could put really in any order, and there'd be some sort of validity to it. But the quarterback who's the most talented in this class is Lenora Sellers. And therefore, he is my number one overall pick. Dom, what do you think?
He would be... I see the vision, right, with Lenora Sellers, because I think that he is a relatively, obviously not like for like, but he's a relatively similar quarterback to Justin Fields. He is, incredibly athletic. You can kind of run the same style of offense, which I think is really important, because Sellers is a quarterback that I don't think would be fit to start immediately. I think he needs as much time as he can to develop. For me, Sellers is currently my 12th player on my big board. I believe my QB3, just because he's a good quarterback in theory. He reminds me so much of Anthony Richardson. Yes, he is more experienced now. He has way more pass attempts and will continue to play throughout this season. But he is just still that kind of what-if kind of quarterback. Oh, what if he puts it all together? He's got that unbelievable arm talent. He's a freak athlete at 6'3", 240 pounds. He had 842 rush yards last year. He can break out of sacks like no one else can I've ever really seen at the college level, to be honest with you. Like, he is unbelievable. He's a physical specimen, all-world potential. But is he just potential? That's what I'm concerned about.
So, Dom, who else would you have? Because I agree, but like I said, with Aller, with Klubnik, with Nussmeier, they've all had really disappointing seasons. And as you can see, their performance has been so variable, which is something that I definitely didn't predict. So the reason why I'm saying with Sellers is because At this point, I don't trust any of the film. I don't believe my own eyes. And if you don't believe your own eyes, you've got to back talent. But the other quarterback that's rising up boards, Dom, is the quarterback from Indiana, Mendoza. What do you think?
Yeah, see, I like Mendoza and I like Dante Moore and I like Ty Simpson. Currently, they're ahead of Sellers for me, just because I think I've seen more from them. Are they the physical specimen that Sellers is? Absolutely not. I mean, Mendoza is kind of like a souped-up Jared Goff, like a very high floor
He's
quarterback.
Mac Jones. He's Mac Jones.
Don't do that. I think he's a lot better than Mac Jones. I like Fernando Mendoza. He's had a huge season this year. Potential to be the first overall quarterback taken, first overall player taken. I think he's an NFL quarterback in every sense. He's got the physicality. He's good between the ears. He's got a good arm. He's tough as nails. He can make throws with defenders literally in his grill. I love that. I think the league kind of needs more quarterbacks like Jared Goff almost, right? Like, we're so busy chasing the quarterbacks like Sellers. Why don't we just go for the high floor guys? Dante Moore I like as well. The quarterback from Oregon also had a really big season. He's in the Heisman race, QB1 race as well. He's a better athlete, I think. And then Ty Simpson has really showed out as well. But I kind of agree. I think with the first overall pick, you got to swing for the fences. And whilst I probably wouldn't take Sellers myself, I can see this being the pick, and I like your thought with it. So let's take Sellers as QB1. The Browns, then, they also have to draft a quarterback, right?
So they also have to draft a quarterback. And my logic here for the Browns is very different because they have the number one overall defense in football.
Yes, so true.
Carson Schlesinger looks like an absolute home run of a second-round pick. Mason Graham is going to develop. They've got another first-rounder next year. And also, I think if the quarterback race stays like it is, I could see them as a potential trade-down candidate. But obviously, that's such a long way away. But I think, for example, a plug-and-play sort of Fernando Mendoza, Ty Simpson's type, I think would be much better suited for the Browns here. The reason why I called Mendoza Mac Jones is it sounds like a bit of a harsh critic, but in his rookie season, Mac Jones was a Pro Bowler. Right now with the San Francisco 49ers, he's playing at a very high level. Mendoza will be an excellent West Coast quarterback. He's surgical in the short and medium pass game. He can be a Brock Purdy. He can be that sort of plug-and-play guy that can get you to deep playoff runs. Does he have the immense upside that these other players do? No. But if you put him with a good head coach, which the Browns have in Stefanski, and put him with an elite defense, I could see him taking the Browns to a much better team than, for example, Sellers would do.
Yeah, I like that shout, to be honest with you. I think the difference between Mendoza and Jones, though, is that Mendoza is not afraid to attack downfield, whereas if you look at Mac Jones's passing map at the moment for the 49ers, it is literally nothing beyond the sticks. And I think that Mendoza would definitely be an upgrade. The issue is, though, with the Browns, could you put a Fernando Mendoza behind that really bad Browns offensive line? I don't, though. Moving on from the quarterbacks just for a second, because I think we will eventually, we will take a quarterback here for the Browns, but the tackle class has taken some hits, right? Spencer Fano is definitely going to be my OT1, and he'll go in this top 10. But would I take him right now at 2? I don't think so. He's my 14th player on my big board. He was top 5 preseason, but he's not looked great. Mamagoa people prefer as a guard. Caden Proctor had a really bad first 3 weeks to start the season. So I don't think there's really an offensive lineman that I would feel more comfortable taking over a quarterback, despite, the Browns having more picks and probably being able to kick the quarterback can down the road because they've got Dylan Gabriel and maybe Sanders. But I think this has to be a quarterback. And then for me, it's a choice between Mendoza or Moore or Simpson. Which one of those three would you lead? Mendoza?
I would rate Mendoza because I've been sort of radicalized by the anti-1-year starter.
Yes,
your Mitch
that's so
Trubisky's,
true.
your Anthony Richardsons.
Yeah.
And I know Dante Moore played a year at UCLA, but I don't count that. I don't think he would either. Ty Simpson, again, not that much film. Even though Mendoza was at Cal and then transferred, and this is his first year of elite production, he still has a baseline to compare this film against. And with Dante Moore, he's played lights out, but anyone can have a purple patch. You need to have a baseline of film to really assess a player. And especially right now in the process, I can't put any weight behind Dante Moore.
Yeah, I love that shout with you with the experience part. I agree. I mean, look, we'll talk about Ty Simpson, we'll talk about Dante Moore when we get to them, but I like that shout that Mendoza has already played. He's already started at Cal and behind a terrible offensive line at Cal last year, by the way, and he was still showing some flashes there. So we're going to take a swing with the quarterback position with the Browns. The Ravens at 3 is absolutely bonkers. I mean, obviously, right, we're not taking a quarterback here. Maybe this would be a trade down scenario for the Ravens if they were to have this pick come draft day. But it says here for PFF that wide receivers are need. I agree with that 100%. Offensive line, I agree with that 100%. And defensive line, for me, I think is a huge need. I personally would sprint the card in for Ruben Bain Jr. at this point 100%, considering that the Ravens have basically no pass rush to speak of. Mike Green has fallen off the map. I don't even know off the top of my head who else they have there. They've got, what's his name?
Daffy Owe?
Yeah, Adafe Owe, that's exactly who I was thinking about. I just think Ruben Bain he's my number one player on my big board right now. He is the most dominant player in college football, regardless of position. He's got a 30% pass rush win rate. He's got 30 pressures, 3 sacks. He's fantastic against the pass. He's brilliant against the run. You can leave him on the field for all 3 downs. I think Ruben Bain Jr. is becoming the Aiden Hutchinson kind of player in this draft class. A weaker draft class overall, but in my opinion, the kind of clear number 1 player in it.
Yeah, Dom, you're also missing out the interception that he had. His ability to convert speed to power is something that is elite. And I think that's already NFL prototype elite.
So powerful.
But is he slightly undersized at 6'3"? I don't think so. I think his versatility is fine. And again, he most of last season with an injury. So is that injury concern something that needs to be factored in? Again, not sure. We'll have to get Paddy on that one. But yeah, I think the Ravens defense is not due to the lack of talent. I think there's a lot of coordinating issues going on. Getting lit up by the Texans, who've had a historically bad offense in the first half of the season, is a bad look. I think all will be gone. But of course, always pick best player available. That's always what the Ravens do. They never fail to do it, and it always works out great for them.
Yeah, and the Ravens, a bit like with wide receiver, I think they've just never had a dude on that defensive line or wide receiver. Like you do need someone else apart from Lamar Jackson. Zay Flowers is great, sure. Mike Green might have shown some flashes in the preseason, and maybe he will develop into a good pass rusher. But ultimately, I think Ruben Bain Jr. is one of those guys that you just can't really pass up on if you have the option to draft him, even if, let's say, you did have a trade down option. I mean, yes, he was injured last year, but in his first year, right, as like an 18, 19-year-old, he had 45 pressures and 9 sacks. Like, to do that as a pass rusher, we were going up against super seniors on the offensive line, blokes that have been playing there for years. They are so experienced. They're massive guys. And you're getting that kind of production. This has to be Ruben Bain Jr. 100%. I honestly wouldn't even look back for the Ravens. The Dolphins at 4. Actually, I don't think it's tricky at all. I'm assuming we're going to go quarterback here, right?
You're thinking QB?
We're not rolling in with Tua for another season. Sorry, we're not doing that.
Okay, I've seen that guy on TikTok that does worst throws of the week. It's just Tua Tagovailoa 10 times in a row. Always cracks me up every Monday morning. I think you're right. I think QB is such a position of need that you have to go quarterback. I think offensive line as well, though.
Yeah, massive, yeah.
But on what quarterback do you think fits the Dolphins the best? Because Mike McDaniel will be gone at the end of the year.
He's going to be gone, so it's not really about fit for me. It's more about kind of like trying to find, not the anti-Tua. That would be Sellers in this draft, would be the anti-Tua.
100%.
I think I would take Dante Moore here, personally. For me, I think he's got that QB1 aura. He won away at Penn State, at Happy Valley, during a whiteout, one of the hardest, if not the hardest, kind of environments to win in college football. Dan Lanning trusts him. When Oregon needed to score, they gave it to Dante Moore with his arm or with his legs. He's got good mobility. He's got good arm strength. And he's only 20 years old. He's 6'3", 206 pounds. I think he could easily play and fill out his frame at 220. And then that is not Tua Tagovailoa, right? Like, he is a 6'3", 220 plus pound quarterback, or will be. I think that he is what this Dolphins team needs, just an upgrade at quarterback.
Yeah, that win at Oregon was a big signature win. That was big on the road. Place Oregon at Penn State. Sorry, in the whiteout, in Happy Valley, on the road, faced a bit of adversity in that second half, managed to pull through in overtime. I would personally go Ty Simpson. I think he's my Heisman frontrunner at the moment. I like his athleticism. I really like his poise, and also I think his comeback from losing to Florida State in week 1, stringing together some good wins against Georgia, against Vanderbilt. These are 2 serious teams.
Vandy's no slouch.
These are 2 top 10, probably maybe even potential playoff teams that Ty Simpson really balled out against. But at the moment, I think between those 2, you're splitting hairs. So Dom,
I'm
it's up
pulling
to
the
you.
trigger on Moore as the man with the control here. I'm pulling the trigger on Moore. I think that's kind of what the Dolphins have to do. The Dolphins fans cannot watch this team roll into the next season with Tua Tagovailoa again. And there's no one that's going to be available in free agency. I don't think there's really a vet that you're going to trade for. I think you need to start again in Miami. And I think Dante Moore gives you that clean slate. The Saints now picking at 5 after their first win with Spencer Rattler. I'm going to say something. I think here that the best plan of attack for the Saints is to not draft a quarterback, even though that's one of their needs technically. I think Spencer Rattler is showing signs of life. I would personally try and help him out with a wide receiver or an offensive lineman. What are you thinking?
I agree. I'm a Spencer Rattler truther.
Yes.
Won his first start in, I think he's now 1-11 as a starter.
Yeah, the boy.
Joining the 0-10 club with the likes of Derek Carr. But yeah, this New Orleans team is just so bereft of talent.
Yeah.
And a quarterback is not going to fix that. I know you could say that about many of the teams in the top 5, but I really mean that with the Saints. Their team, they are in cap hell. They are old. They are bruised. And I think, I would personally go for a big trend-setting pick like Peter Woods would be where I would lean personally. They've invested so much in the offensive line over the last 2 years with Fuaga and
They had Ramczyk retire.
Just so much draft capital into that offensive line.
Cesar Ruiz, the center, if he's still there.
Yeah, that tackle out of Northern Iowa who's terrible penning.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, they've invested so much capital and it hasn't worked out. I think you need a big defensive trend-setting pick that will change your defensive philosophy, and I believe Peter Woods could be that guy.
Yeah, it's a shame because I think the best option for the Saints is that they pick a little bit lower than this and then they can kind of address the need at wide receiver. I think it's a really strong wide receiver class this year. I'm going to have 10 guys in my top 50, I think. Like, it's looking really, really good. So receiver you can definitely get at the turn. You could go offensive line again. I think that might be still a little bit early. I like Peter Woods. He was my number 1 player going into the season. Obviously, Clemson had fallen off a cliff, and kind of so has Peter Woods. But I still trust the tape that I saw from him last year. I agree. I had him as my bottom line on Woods was, he's a guy that you can build your defense around. He's that elite kind of rebuilding piece, like a Quinnen Williams maybe in the middle of that defensive line. He's not played that well. He has taken a step back. But ultimately, I think that Woods is still a fantastic talent, and you can't just throw out a year of tape like that despite a bad year. So Peter Woods to rebuild the Saints. The Raiders at 6. Now, with the Geno disaster,
he looks terrible.
Is this a quarterback?
I'm telling you right now, if you're Kate Klubnik or Drew Aller and you're just missing out on this top 10 draft money because you just played a terrible season and seeing all these guys, you would be kicking yourself. I guess you could do Ty Simpson. That's the last quarterback I'd draft anywhere near here.
Yeah.
But I think 4 quarterbacks in the top 6 is not something that I would have.
No, yeah, we've had Sellers 1, Mendoza, we've had Ruben Bain, Dante Moore, and Peter Woods.
I would also lean towards my wide receiver 1 here, who I think we both might have as Jordan Tyson.
I actually don't have Jordan Tyson as my wide receiver 1, although I have Mekhi Lemon and Jordan Tyson next to each other on my big board.
You're Mekhi Lemon Glazer. Jordan Tyson is so clear.
All right, let's. Why are you thinking Jordan Tyson here?
Well, so on the season, 39 receptions, 483 yards, 7 touchdowns, 12.5 yards per catch. His best game was against ranked TCU last week. 8 catches, 126 yards, 2 touchdowns. I do think that he has that wide receiver 1 potential. I was worried about him against press, but I think he's shown a bit more improvement against it this year.
Yeah, definitely.
I love his basketball style box out. Even though he's not as big as you would think, but he plays a lot bigger than his frame is. Mm-hmm. And I believe he's got the athletic potential and the toughness that will really show on tape. That will wow in interviews and wow at the combine. He is my wide receiver 1. I have him below from Tesla McMillan last year, but I have him very, very highly ranked.
Yeah, I really like Jordan Tyson, and I think I'm going to talk about Tyson in the next pick because we've got the Titans coming up, and I think they're going to need a wide receiver. And I think that with the Raiders, they've got Jack Besh, they've got Jacoby Myers, they've got Brock Bowers. I don't think wide receiver is what they're going to want to do, and I don't think that's the right pick either, to be honest. I think they need to make this defense better. And I'm looking at one player now who is, in my opinion, the best defensive player in this draft class, and that's Caleb Downs.
Yeah, it's hard to go against Caleb Downs. He's been compared to Troy Polamalu and Ed Reed, which is both ridiculous comparisons. They don't even play similar styles, but that's besides the point. His positional versatility, the way he can turn around a defense, I'm not going to disagree with you with Caleb Downs at all.
Yeah, I'm going to pull the trigger on Caleb Downs. I just think he's got elite instincts. He sees the game differently. He, it just thrives in that robber kind of no man's land between the linebackers and the safeties. He is so damn good. I mean, there's a play against Arch Manning in the season opener when he literally just opened his hips pre-snap, and that suggested to Manning that he was going to go and cover the deep middle of the field like a safety does, but he's actually got flats. And like Arch Manning just saw his body language change and then didn't even look over to that half of the field where he thought Caleb Downs would be. And he wasn't even there. But Downs is just like genuinely kind of playing 3D chess as a defensive player. Like he just is so instinctual, so smart, so cerebral. I think that whilst that's not a need, quote unquote, for the Raiders, they do need to get better on defense. And Caleb Downs is the best defensive player in this draft class. But then, Jordan Tyson here for the Titans. Am I cooking?
I think you're cooking, Dom. I think that's a great pick. Sprint the card, and if I was in Nashville.
Yeah, we're gonna pull the trigger on Jordan Tyson there. And what I would say about Jordan Tyson is that he has answered my concerns very, very well that I had of him preseason. I said in the preseason that I was worried about his ability to hold up against NFL level physicality. I thought he wasn't that strong. Well, he's put on 15 pounds of muscle this year already, and he still moves really well. He's got his drop rate down from 8% to 2%. He's got more juice after the catch. He's already at 205 yards after the catch. Last year, he just had 441. Now, I don't see Tyson as a Jamar Chase kind of like wide receiver 1. He's more of a wide receiver 1B, but I think that with Tyson and Ayamanor in Tennessee, that's a really good pairing. I think that Jordan Tyson is a really good, like kind of bigger body player. I think Lemon wouldn't fit as well with the style of quarterbacking that Cam Ward plays with. I think that Tyson is what the Titans should do, and honestly, what they will do. But we've now got the Giants at 8. So, as our resident Giants fan, what are you going to do here?
Now, I'm even wearing the Saquon jersey. It gets tougher every week. It's hard here because I think offensive line, I think Spencer Fano here would be a great pick because even though he's maybe not going to project a tackle at the next level, I do believe if he does make his tackle, he will be an elite level guard. I believe the worst case scenario for him is a Pro Bowl guard. I would have loved Jordan Tyson to fall. I think the lack of receiver depth really showed against the Saints when we had Bo Collins and Jalen Hyatt as our 2 starting receivers. So maybe Malachi Lemon. It's hard. The safe pick, if you could go with your head, would be Spencer Fano. With your heart, I'd say Lemon. What do you think, Dom?
I think you're not going quarterback.
But no. I'm all on the Jackson Dart train, baby.
Okay. I had to ask a question. Yeah, I mean, you know who I would go with here, I think? Yeah, I like the Spencer Fano shout. That would be who I would ultimately go with, I reckon. I also really like Mansour Delane, the cornerback from LSU. I think the Deontay Banks experiment's kind of over. I don't even think he starts for you, really. Like we've seen him on the sidelines against the Cowboys, for example. I kind of love Delane as that kind of sticky press man, lockdown corner. But the offensive line is just so important. And whilst I'm less high on Fano than I was before, I still think he's the clear best offensive lineman in this draft. So should we pull the trigger on Fano then?
Yeah, pull the trigger.
Pull the trigger. Spencer Fano. So the Jackson Dart train rolls on in New York. The Bengals at 9. A similar kind of position here for the Bengals, right? Like this kind of has to be Francis Mauigoa, I reckon, from Miami. He is down as a tackle. Most people prefer him, I think, as a guard. Is there anyone else you'd think of? Like, any edge player? Like maybe Keldrick Folk, but like I just don't think that is as pressing as offensive line in Cincinnati. I mean, TJ Parker's here though.
I was thinking that TJ Parker, and also what I want to quickly say about TJ Parker is that Clemson are having a down year.
Shocking, yeah.
The wheels have come off the train. I don't know why. Maybe it's
train have wheels?
What's the phrase? Wheels have come off.
Yeah, the train's come off the tracks.
Yeah, okay. It's a bit, it doesn't really matter. But TJ Parker has still played a really good season. 2 sacks in a year. I think I could, despite poor team performance, I do not believe this is effective TJ Parker's overall draft standing. At least that's my opinion. But if you're the Bengals, you can't not take an edge.
Yeah.
Pure, like even just for optics wise, if you're a GM and you want people not to protest outside your house, you need to draft a tackle. And I think Amalgo is my number 2, Dom. I'm not sure about you.
Yeah, I think the big brain play would be to go for TJ Parker, get that discount on a really good player that hasn't been playing that well, who is kind of falling to you. Again, I'm trusting the tape that exists on Parker that is really good. Clemson, you're right, are having a shocking year, so the whole team is taking a massive knock on their draft stock. But you cannot, with Joe Burrow out injured, you cannot then the next draft not draft an offensive lineman. I just think that is negligence, honestly. I would take Maui Goa here. He's your offensive tackle too, right, as well. He's my offensive tackle too. And look, yeah, you might kick inside to guard. That's fine. He gives you the potential to play tackle or guard. Maybe if you strike, if you get really lucky, could be like a Will Campbell, right, that is playing really, really well now for New England. People thought he was a guard. He's currently thriving at tackle. Maybe it's that kind of situation. I think he could be a good tackle, maybe an elite guard. I think you have to take Maui Goa here. So we've had to make a trade on the fly because the draft order wasn't quite correct. It hasn't updated after the Jags-Chiefs game from last night. It is indeed the Chiefs that now have the 10th overall pick and not the Carolina Panthers. So now the Chiefs are on the clock at 10, which is absolutely bonkers for the Chiefs with Patrick Mahomes. Will they finish here? Honestly, probably not, but it's exciting to pick this early for the Chiefs when usually they're picking in the 30s. What are we going to do with the Chiefs here?
So outside of TJ Parker, the next highest player I have on my board is Avion Terrell, AJ Terrell's younger brother, the cornerback for Clemson.
I don't like that.
I'm a big fan of him. He's my corner number one. But I think you also Keldrick Folk still be on the board. Yeah. The defensive edge from Auburn. I think if you're the Chiefs, you just got to go best player available here. Maybe you go tight end with Sadiq, but
I like that.
I really personally don't like that. We'll talk about that later in draft season. He's not my guy at all. But Don, what do you think?
I think the Chiefs have pick of the bunch here, really. I think they could go Jeremiah Love. I think they need to upgrade their running back position. I think Love would be fantastic at that. He's the only running back that I have a first-round grade on with a bullet. TJ Parker, I think they need better edge help. Chris Jones is not getting any younger. I think they need to kind of invest in that while they still have a good kind of transition with Jones still playing at a good level. I like Kenyon Sadiq as that kind of receiving tight end replacement of Travis Kelce. And I like German McCoy or Mansour Delane as a cornerback as well. So it's kind of, are you going to go with the value pick of Parker? Or kind of the fun pick of Jeremiah Love or Kenyon Sadiq for me?
I think you got to go Parker. Personally, I think you can get a player like Sadiq. I think you can get a good receiving third-round tight end in a third round. I believe mid-round tight end is my... tight ends don't matter is my new agenda. No tight ends in the first round. But no,
you've charmed me. I think the smart pick, like I said, the big brain play is to go for TJ Parker here. I think as someone whose stock has taken a bit of a hit, but I think he's still a really good talent. I think he's got a really good pass rushing bag. I think he can be a lot better than he's shown this year. It's just kind of a case of putting him in a new situation. But yeah, we're gonna take TJ Parker there. Let's quickly recap our top 10. First, we took Lenoris Sellers. Second to the Browns, Fernando Mendoza. The Ravens at 3 took Ruben Bain Jr. The Dolphins at 4 took Dante Moore, the quarterback from Oregon, to replace Tua Tagovailoa. The Saints at 5 took Peter Woods to try and rebuild this team, inject some life into the defense especially. At 6, the Raiders took Caleb Downs, the best defensive player in the draft, in my opinion. At 7, the Titans helped out Cam Ward by drafting Jordan Tyson, the wide receiver from Arizona State. At 8, New York Giants took Spencer Fano. The amount of times the Giants have drafted an offensive lineman in my memory is absolutely wild, but they go back to the well, hope that this is going to be the answer. The Bengals at 9 take Francis Mauigoa. They have to try and protect Joe Burrow. And finally at 10, the Chiefs take TJ Parker, the edge rusher from Clemson. Now, it pains me because my Houston Texans are there at 11, and I want to help rebuild that team, but this is all to come. We're going to save the later picks for later in the season. So make sure you subscribe to not miss out on any of those videos. If you've liked the video, leave a like. It puts it out to other people that enjoy the NFL draft, enjoy this kind of content, and that's what we need here. And make sure you let us know what you think as well in the comments. Do you agree or disagree with anything that we've made? Any of the picks? Has New cooked? Have I cooked? Do we know ball? Do we not know ball? Let us know all of those things down below. But I've been your host, Dom Corbs. That's my co-host, Nick Corbs. We'll see you on the next video.
See ya.